and all I could find as far as football information was Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Watson. Now, I get it. This is Deshaun Watson week. The hearing starts on Tuesday. A lot of information is out there about what the NFL actually hopes to get as far as a punishment for Deshaun Watson goes. They had settlement talks leading up to this week, and they were kept under wraps pretty good until the weekend when it came out that, the NFL is starting at a year minimum, and anything less than that is going to be something that they're not going to be happy with. And a good football Monday, Birds fans. Appreciate your streaming on in. Start of another preparation week. Well, I don't know how much preparation's actually going on. We're preparing for an upcoming season, and we would be John McMullen and Jody McDonald, a.k.a. your Mac and Mac Birds 365 guys. J-Mac, were you riveted in front of the TV for all the USFL action this week? Stars, baby!
I don't know if riveted is the word, the right word, but I did watch about the final 10 minutes of the game. In fact, I felt pretty bad. I guess the Stars were winning most of the way, and as soon as I turned it on, Jody, the Generals took a kickback for a touchdown, and I'm like, oh, I screwed the Stars. But if there's one thing. There's one certainty in life besides death and taxes. It's the Philadelphia Stars or Baltimore Stars in the USFL title game. And that's it. 4 for 4, baby. It took, I think, 37 years between 3 and 4, but 4 for 4.
Yeah, I had to wait a little bit for another Stars championship run, but they're in it again. And I'll be honest, I did not watch it. I forgot that it was on. Shame on me. It's all on me. That's your fault, McDonald. I forget what I was doing Saturday. Was I watching? I might have been watching the Yankees get no hit.
Combined no hit. They almost got no hit twice in a row.
Yeah, they were 6 innings in yesterday before they got a hit. 16 straight innings, something like that. Carry over from Friday night to Saturday to Sunday, but they actually rallied and won in late stages yesterday over Houston. So yeah, I think I was locked into baseball and I completely forgot the USFL was on. Then I saw the score on my phone. I said, damn, I gotta call McMullen. Stars going to the championship game again. And you were watching it. That's why you're more of a football guru than I am. Let me ask you this question about the USFL, and congratulations to the Stars. I will try harder to watch the championship game next week. Somebody's got to watch it. How many people? I texted you and you said, "Oh, I think they had 2,000 strong at Canton or two."
It's more than Birmingham. I'm not, so small steps. It was more than Birmingham.
Okay, glad to know the attendance was up. That you couldn't possibly count them by yourself. That you had to go with some kind of check the tickets coming through the gate. USFL. Are we going to see any of these players, start players, any of the other players in the NFL this year? We've got rosters locked in at 90. Most teams have their 90. Are guys going to get, listen, you're on our short list. If we need somebody, want to have you ready to come in and try out at a minute's notice. What is the USFL 2022 going to do for the NFL 2022 as far as players go?
I think a number of these players are going to get sort of invites to training camp, as teams churn the back end to their 90-man roster. I think there's some value in playing. I've always thought that, especially at quarterback. I really do. To me, there's only so much you can learn sitting on the bench if you're it can work. We've seen Aaron Rodgers with Brett Favre, Jordan Love with Aaron Rodgers, not so much. I don't, and I go back to the old World League because I'm old, and there were some really competent quarterbacks developed in that league, including a couple Super Bowl winners. One's in the Hall of Fame, and Kurt Warner. That league helped him. Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl. That league helped him. Jake Delhomme made a Super Bowl. That league helped him. I've always thought, really, since that era, that man, if you can play, if you can get reps at quarterback, and you have some baseline talent, you could develop into something. I think the same is true at other positions, maybe not as noticeable. So I think playing is helpful. And as you know, Jeff Stoutland calls reps bars of gold, real reps, and you don't get a lot of real reps in preparation for an NFL season now. So I do think it could help, but you're talking about the main issue is obviously talent level. And it's interesting because you're a big Peter King guy. Peter King, this is the time of year he goes on vacation, sort of hands off his column to other people, to guest columnists.
Right.
And he had Paul Burmeister to talk about the USFL today. And he kind of mentioned he was going down that, sort of second chance players, who's got a chance to get a look in the NFL. But I do think you're going to see a number of players get signed and be in training camp, whether they can make a run at the NFL. But I mean, there's guys, the Stars quarterback, Case Cookus, he's been in camp with, I think, Denver, Las Vegas, Minnesota over the past 2 years, bunch of Giants, bunch of different teams. Kyle Sloter's been in camps and even played a little bit. I don't know if we're going to see the next Jake Delhomme, never mind the next Kurt Warner, but I do think there is value to live reps. I really do.
That's one of the reasons why I asked you the question. And again, shame on me for not catching any of the action this week. I will try and catch a championship game, but we'll see if any guys can jump up and actually make NFL teams. I think a lot of it has to do with the name. Case Cookus. Does that just sound like a quarterback name to you? I don't know why. Shame on me that I'm not giving the young man a chance. He's had a couple of chances in the NFL. Maybe he gets one more. I was waiting to check out the back of a jersey and see he hate me. Then I would have thought a guy had a chance to actually make a National Football League team. You need a little bit of a hook to get in. But sure enough, the Stars have hooked another championship appearance. This weekend, I found myself starting to think about the upcoming season. We're still a month away. Yesterday was actually 1 month to the day from the Eagles opening of training camp. And all I could find as far as football information was Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Watson. Now, I get it. This is Deshaun Watson week. The hearing starts on Tuesday. A lot of information is out there about what the NFL actually hopes to get as far as a punishment for Deshaun Watson goes. They had settlement talks leading up to this week, and they were kept under wraps pretty good until the weekend when it came out that, the NFL is starting at a year minimum, and anything less than that is going to be something that they're not going to be happy with. John, how close were we to having to deal with all of this? How badly did the Philadelphia Eagles want to acquire Deshaun Watson? Because right now, if you're a Browns fan going into this season, you're pulling your hair out going, we do have a quarterback. We don't have a quarterback. We're paying a quarterback. He's going to be out. The question is how long, an entire year? We're not going to have this new quarterback. This all could have been going down right here in Philadelphia. Yeah. How close do you think it actually was?
I thank my lucky stars every day, by the way, Jody. I would hate to deal with that. We had John McClain on. He said that. The best thing about it is he doesn't have to deal with it.
He doesn't have to deal with it anymore.
Every single day. How close was it? Not close at all. To me, they're two different conversations, but the Eagles badly wanted Deshaun Watson, but they never got close because the quarterback wouldn't entertain coming to Philadelphia. So it didn't come close like it came close in Miami, for instance, and obviously came close for Atlanta as well. Those were the two teams on the sort of precipice before, and the Dolphins at the trade deadline last year, the Falcons this year, when the Browns came in at the last minute with the big, financial guarantee. kind of stole him, and the Falcons should really thank their lucky stars, even though, they don't have a quarterback, and that's still a big issue. But as far as the player, the Eagles wanted the player. The Eagles always wanted the player. Jeffrey Lurie greenlighted acquiring the player. They just never had the option to do it. And I say it all the time. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And it happens all the time in the NFL. You don't get one player, you end up getting a better player. I just wrote about that at JAKIBSports.com with Trey Wayans. And, everybody was talking about Trey Wayans because of his history with Jonathan Gannon. And sure enough, the Eagles did go after him. And he's contemplating retirement and says he is going to retire, and said, you know what? He thought about it, thought about reuniting with JG, thought about reuniting with Anthony Harris, and said, I don't think my heart is in it anymore. Eagles couldn't get it done. All of a sudden, James Bradbury, the Giants finally have to put him out there. The Eagles are able to get him in some unique circumstances. They end up getting a better player. If they sign Trey Wayans early in the process, they're not even thinking about James Bradbury when he becomes available. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
And I agree. I agree 100% with you, because I was a guy who was beating the drum for Bradbury even before he was released by the Giants, because there was enough smoke out there to make you believe that it was going to happen, and that's exactly what happened. And the Eagles were Johnny on the spot to pick up a top-flight fill-in starting cornerback going into the 2022 season. So, yes, I love the way you describe it, and that's exactly the way it played out. Sometimes better lucky than good. We've talked about this plenty, too. I just want you to confirm. Do you believe the number one reason that the Eagles did not end up acquiring Deshaun Watson was that Deshaun Watson just didn't want to undercut his buddy Jalen Hurts, that they were pals? Or do you think it was that his agent was getting feelers as to what kind of economic package could be cut as far as a contract extension goes, and the Eagles weren't willing to go up to and or near where the Browns went with all their guaranteed money?
No, I do think Deshaun shut the Eagles down originally and continued because of his relationship with Jalen Hurts, and his belief is it's very difficult in general for African American quarterbacks to get an opportunity in the NFL. That was very big for in Watson's mind, and this is how I describe it. If he didn't have any other options, he would have came to Philadelphia and he would have taken Jalen's so-called opportunity. But he had many, many other options. And until those options were going to be closed, he wasn't going to consider Philadelphia. And Jalen Hurts was a big part of that. But while I say that, then on the back end, Jody, I do believe in a different world, if the Eagles were allowed into the bidding, they would have not gone to where Cleveland went. So either way, I don't think they would have entertained that thought process.
Fair enough. All right, one more question I want to run by you, and then we're going to punch up our first guest of the day. First timer, as a matter of fact, Emery Hunt, Football Game Plan, and CBS Sports HQ going to hop aboard. Good game day film breakdown guy. Looking forward to getting him up. He'll join us in less than 5. Cleveland Browns, we're going to find out this week. Probably not, but they'll start the process of putting, and we'll go into this with Emery as well, even though he's a game film guy. Got to find out how he thinks this is going to play out with the independent counsel that's going to decide, and then the ability to kick it back to Roger Goodell. Oh, it's going to be such a mess the next couple of weeks. But at some point, we're going to find out how much Deshaun Watson's going to miss. Who's going to be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in the interim? Can they really go back to Baker Mayfield with all the dirty water that's passed under that bridge? Yeah. He's still on the roster. They haven't traded him. They haven't cut him. They told him don't bother coming in for any camps. Not that anybody works at any of these camps, as we found out around the league. But can Baker Mayfield really be the Browns quarterback again in 2022?
I don't think so. That's the way I would go. I would try to repair the relationship and say, you know what, you can go prove yourself. You're back on the market next year. Maybe, some of those knocks you took last year. But as you mentioned, there's so much negative stuff. Remember, Cleveland said we need to get an adult in the room at the quarterback position. A lot of backhanded slaps at Baker Mayfield. I don't think the relationship is repairable at this point. And I do think ultimately we've heard Seattle in the past week. We've heard Carolina for a long time. Somebody's going to make a move at some point for Baker Mayfield. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already because typically you want quarterbacks to be involved very early in the process. But those teams are really in need, obviously. And Matt Rule, I still focus on Carolina because he's coaching for his job, man. I mean, he's got to win games or he's out, and he can't win games with Sam Darnold. So ultimately, I think there's going to be that. And then Cleveland brought in Jacoby Brissett. It seems that was their plan. They knew they were going to face a suspension. I think their hope was more of 6 games, maybe worst case scenario 10 games, and that was their plan. Jacoby will be the quarterback, and then we'll go to Deshaun. Now it might be a year, and it's probably going to be an ugly year in Cleveland, to say the least. It could be the end of Kevin Stefanski, and he's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy who's going to unfairly be judged. Matt Rule, at least in Carolina, it's been his show for a couple of years. Yes, Stefanski has not been the ringleader of what's gone down here in Cleveland, and he may end up paying a big price for it. But watch out for that Matt Corral in Carolina. He might be able to step in year one.
You can ask Emery about Matt Corral. We'll get the breakdown.
I will do that. Is something we'll start with that, as a matter of fact, then. Emery Hunt going to join us as our first guest of the day. It is a Monday. We're getting closer, folks. Yes, the NFL 2022 season will arrive. We promise you that. We may go kicking and screaming all the way up to it that we want some football. We'll certainly talk about it with you here on Birds 365. Emery Hunt joins us, our first guest of the day, first guest of the week, next here on Birds 365.